welcome to this week's Unikernel application spotlight. You guys thought I was gonna skip this week, right? Because Christmas? Nah, we're gonna do it every week, no matter what. So this week we're looking at Gazette. Gazette is a interesting little streaming framework slash daemon that I ran across. A handful of weeks or a couple months ago, whatever it was. It's written in Go, and it has your basic broker consumer pattern, but it's got some interesting takes. Essentially, the authors, they were kind of, you know, uh, not pleased with the reality of most data architecture out there, and essentially, it usually was like a choice between using a data lake or using low latency streaming tools to do queries on, but not both together. And so this tool, Gazette, basically allows you to mix SQL and batch and low latency streaming all together, and it uses a journal, a pinned only journal that in our demo we're going to use a local file system, but I think in prod what they kind of hint at the best solution is just S3, and basically it just allows you know you to have this kind of infinite stream going everywhere. Treat S3 as your data lake, and then you can just query into it. And so it's an interesting thing. If you're doing any sort of data engineering work, then I would definitely encourage you to check this out. And they definitely put some thought into this. So oh, and they've got this little presentation that's linked on the docs. I would go through this presentation, maybe even watch the video, because it's pretty informative on how it actually works. So before we show the demo, I just wanted to let you know the Gazette package that I made is here, obviously, and then I put some instructions in. Really, the only config that you need to be aware of is your etcd address. It does use etcd as a dependency, and so I left this off for the package, put it into this config because this can change, right? And it's better just to inject that at runtime. And then obviously etcd. I was surprised we actually didn't have one of these, but a lot of people really have been using this in conjunction with Kubernetes in the past. So yeah. Anyways, now we have an etcd unikernel package as well. And this actually has more configuration in it than you think. There was like 4 different envarvs that had to be set. And so like if you're using this, again, depending on where you're deploying it to, you might need to adjust those. So, as usual, a lot of these packages are just kind of like examples. What I would encourage you to do if you want to make some changes, just fork the package and create your own, and let me know that yours is better. So yeah, let's get into the example. All right, so we're gonna run a broker. The consumer, they export a Go SDK to utilize the consumer, and so they have lots of interesting examples. Apparently, this has been in use in prod for 5 years or so. But basically, in our example, like I said, we're creating a local directory, blob store. This is how the broker starts, but I've just kind of thrown that into my package. And then they have this concept of a journal specification. And so basically this is just kind of like a config for how your journal works. And so, like I said, the store is just local file system, but prod would probably be S3. So we're gonna do this first, but before I get ahead of myself, let's start etcd So 2380 and 2379, bum, bum, bum. And then let's start Gazette. It starts up. You don't need to pay attention to this get sock op warnings. These are just unused, and they're kind of optional. But we might add them in the near future anyways. All right, so that's running. I had downloaded the Gazelle Gaz control and just kind of built it locally. But yeah, so this is how you actually create the journal, and so we're just using the example they do. So we got that. Now we can issue a append to this journal. So again, it just says hello Gazette and see you later alligator. So we pop back over, and it writes it in, and then we can kind of grab it again. And we get what we would expect. So, this is a very, very quick example of using this. There's a lot of features in Gazette, and, it can get complex pretty quickly in terms of functionality. You could actually do some really interesting stuff. Maybe in the future I might come back and do a second video on this, just because it is lots of interesting things here. But this was running Gazette and etcd as a unikernel, and I will see you again next week.